Hello there, and welcome to Gooner U, where there are no degrees because the learning never stops. I'm Dove, a TA here at Gooner U, and my friend Keith is our stalwart distinguished professor of Arsenal and football studies. Enter our classroom as we discuss the week's news involving Arsenal, Premier League, Champions League, international football, and sometimes MLS because we're Americans. This week, Arsenal played 2 Premier League matches, at home midweek against Aston Villa and away this weekend at Vitality Stadium, aka Dean Court, against Bournemouth. Hello, Keith.
Hello, Dove, and a Happy New Year to you and to everyone. It's now the 4th of January.
Yeah, Happy New Year. It's been marked in our household by an adoption of PSVR 2, which has a game that my son and I have been playing called Clean Sheet, which calling it a game might be a bit of a stretch. It's kind of like a goalkeeper training simulator, which is a blast. And I can see where it's good for like indoor skills, like reflexes training and stuff. It's really crazy how immersive it can be, where you really like all the same reflexes kick in. It's pretty cool.
I was going to make a joke about, having to change the date, like when I sign things, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was now, but I did sign something on January 1st and I nailed it.
I found the first week of the year, I get it right. It's once I fall back into muscle memory and I'm not thinking about it being the new year anymore. That's when there's like a 2-month period where I'll end up getting it wrong in my daily email at work or something. A little bit of follow-up from the last episode. We were talking about mascots, the adorable children that walk out onto the soccer pitch with teams all over the world, including Arsenal. And apparently we got some follow-up from one of our friends on TikTok. El Beardo is his username. Shout out to him. And he was informing us that apparently for Arsenal, this is something that is available to paid up junior gunner members. So this is if their parents have certain levels of membership with the club, then they can have their children I guess they're automatically entered into some kind of lottery. And that's how they've done it. So maybe less about community outreach and more as a perk for membership. So
yeah, that makes sense. You got to think of a club like Arsenal has. If you just imagine it in terms of requests, there've got to be so many people with the size of the fan base they have interested in that sort of thing. So sure, that makes sense. Any kind of in the sense of trying to limit your options there into a lottery. So
yeah. As we record, it is January 4th, and to all of our viewers and listeners out there, this is just a heads up that you can still enter with some degree of futility for a spot to buy a ticket for the World Cup. You have until January 13th, that is a Tuesday. That is when this round will close. I think this is the final round of the random selection, or no, there's going to be more? No?
I would assume there's going to be at least 1 or 2 more, given the games don't even. Presumably they're going to have to do another set of them after March once they get the final 6 teams are solidified. Because presumably those fans are going to have some thoughts about if you're Turkish, you might be holding off. Do I take that trip to America?
Okay.
But I suspect they'll may have something there. But then also they're going to have tickets on sale through various avenues right up until kickoff. So, it's a good place to start. You might, if you can lock yourself in, that's not bad, but,
That's good to know. less stressful that way if you don't look at it as your final opportunity. So thank you. Last week, or I guess a couple weeks ago now, we talked about the possibility of Enzo Maresca maybe moving over to Manchester City. I was going to make a joke seeing a picture of them side by side that it would be a difference that a lot of people wouldn't notice superficially looking at the two of them side by side. I'll drop a picture in here, but apparently there's been more news about Enzo Maresca in the last week.
Yes, well, if Pep does leave City and Maresca goes there, it'll be much easier because he no longer works for Chelsea. Happy New Year. This is not, I can't say this is a terribly shocking thing. He had a comment leading up to one of their games in late December about being like his worst 48 hours of the club. He's been very critical of the club, clearly wasn't having a good time there. And then the results after that, fantastic draw that they had against us. Sarcasm. they've kind of stagnated, and as a result, Chelsea understandably has higher standards than where they currently sit, fifth in the table. And so my impression was that there seemed to be some dispute about this, whether or not he was fired or resigned. I believe officially he was let go, but I don't think he was terribly, didn't seem like he was terribly bothered with leaving.
Right.
We should point out that since their heroic draw against us on the 30th of November, since then Chelsea has 1 win, 4 draws, and 2 losses.
Ouch.
Oh, and they beat Cardiff City in the League Cup, so to get to the semifinals. So bravo.
Right.
Oh, and they lost to Atalanta in the Champions League. I'm just rolling through the page right now. This is great stuff.
It's fun.
That's fun to look at. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about one of those draws a little bit later in the show. But
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's yeah, I don't know what to make of that. I mean, I guess I'm not surprised. Again, we've talked about this. Like, Chelsea is a club that really just sort of churns through managers. And I guess in some level, Chelsea letting their manager go in the middle of the season is kind of like, water is wet. It's, of course.
But if that's the case, if they have that reputation, how do they get good managers who want to actually go there knowing that the likelihood of them staying long is low?
Well, I think there's 2 parts of this. 3. One is that they get paid a substantial amount of money.
Which can be exchanged for goods and services.
Which can be exchanged for goods and services, which makes everything feel better. Chelsea obviously pays their manager substantially. You're going to be working for a club that is going to be loaded to the gills with talent. Yes, you may only be there for 2 years, but man, you could win just about anything in those 2 years. I mean, look at that. They're deep in every competition. They play in the Champions League. They consider themselves title contenders. Like, it is a very attractive job in that regard. And then also there's another side to this too, which any coach in any sport will tell you they're hired to be fired. Like, whether it's you leave or you're fired. I mean, and they've had a pretty impressive list of managers. Very few managers or coaches in any sport have like that long tenure at one place. Most of them bounce around a bunch of different jobs. That's kind of how it works. Mm-hmm. And so, you could go to Chelsea. Yeah, but you might get fired in 2 years. Yeah, but I'm going to make a boatload of money and win a whole bunch of things in the meantime. Or at least there's a good chance they'll be able to do that.
I guess it helps me better appreciate Pep Guardiola's tenure at City or Mikel Arteta so far with Arsenal, but they've been given the runway to kind of implement their vision,
Yeah, I mean, and look, obviously we say hired to be fired and the churn and everything. I think Chelsea's a little extreme. Look at a club more like Manchester United, who's gotten mediocre results from the last several managers, and they're sticking by Amorim for a while, which almost feels like it occasionally might be coming good for them, but they've still got a long way to go. But even then, you also see clubs moving very quickly when managers are struggling. I mean, Arsenal had Unai Emery for a year, a little less than a year and a half. Sometimes it just goes wrong, and it's sometimes you just got to cut bait for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. All right, Aston Villa. This was a fun one. You like when there are 5 goals and 4 of them are your own clubs.
Yeah. Speaking of Unai Emery, it's Aston Villa. It was a top of the table clash once again. Yeah, they came in. It's weird that we played them twice in a month. That was weird and awkward. But yeah, overall went pretty well, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. It was fun to watch. Hopefully they were jazzed after that, and that carried through into their performance at Bournemouth yesterday.
So in terms of tracking this game, did you watch this one live? I'll talk about mine.
No, I did not watch either of them live. I watched replays later the same day for both of them.
So with this one, I was actually driving on the highway during the first half, so I didn't see anything. I got periodic updates on the score. We don't have to worry about how. But I knew it was scoreless, but I didn't quite know about the flow of the game or the state or how things were going. By the time I was able to see and turn on the game, It was already 3-1 at that point. So I missed the most exciting stuff until watching on a replay. So I guess it's probably appropriate that the first goal came off of the return. Our wall at the back, the king of Brazil, the king of set pieces.
Yeah, I mean, it was the kind of thing where that's what you're hoping to see. It's kind of like when Saka came back after a long injury spell, and like the first thing he did was put the ball in the back of the net. And even Jesus coming back a few weeks ago when he had a good week on his return. It's what you want to see. And for Arsenal with Big Gabby, it's heading the ball in from a set piece.
Or kind of just bodying it in. That was
that's true. That's true.
He gets credit for the goal because it hit him, and obviously his positioning was good there. But I think a good chunk of that is also Emi Martinez doing whatever the heck it was Emi Martinez was doing. I don't really know what I was watching when I saw those replays. But
I forgot the finer point of that one. Yeah.
But that's what he does. We talked about that with the own goals too, right? It's easy to sort of critique those and say, well, they're just own goals. They got kind of lucky. No, I mean, think about how many of those own goals Arsenal created those opportunities. And that's the same thing here. That opportunity is created in part because Gabriel is right where he needs to be. And I mean, we've talked about this, right? Like, I feel like when the camera goes on him on a corner kick, they should play the theme from Jaws. It's like he's lurking, he's there. And sure enough, he bit him. He bit Villa, bit Emi, and we were, and that's the thing. There was clearly there was tension in that build up and tension in the sort of the game flow and the game state. And we'll talk a little about some of the nervousness people had, especially based on the last few games. And it seemed like getting that goal kind of kick-started everything for Arsenal. Is that kind of the feeling you got?
Yeah, undoubtedly. Regarding the own goal commentary, though, the funny thing to me about it is when you use the term own goal, I think the thing that comes into my mind and probably most people's minds when they hear that term is some of them that we've seen before. It will probably forever live in my mind. The Ben White one from a season or two ago, where he just headed the ball in the wrong direction, just internally his compass was askew or something, whatever it was, right? Or just you make a mistake, you kick the ball the wrong direction, and it's basically an unforced error in a way, right? That's kind of what people think of, I think, with an own goal. Is you just kick the ball the wrong way. That's not what we've been producing. It's been situations where we create the chaos in the box, and that's what causes them to make a mistake and the ball just kind of ricochets in. It happens to be off of them, but it could have just as easily been off of one of our own players' feet for an accidental goal, kind of. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, we're creating those situations that promote it going in one way or another. It's not just like, oh, whoops, own goal.
Yeah, and you sometimes need those. It's easy because everybody remembers the highlight goals: Declan Rice from 40 yards out in a free kick, or Zubimendi from distance, or Saka cutting across the box and lasering it to the top corner. Like those are the goals everyone thinks about. Those are the ones everyone loves. But sometimes you just need those like ugly, grimy. You just gotta knock it in, and how by any means necessary. What's the it's in baseball they use the phrase, it's a line drive in the box score, right? All it says is you scored a goal. They don't ask how, they just ask how many. But you saw once it went in, things opened up a little bit, and then we follow that with a Martin Odegaard with a seeing eye pass to Zubimendi and 2-0.
Yeah, it was the hits kept coming. Yeah, that was another fun one. I mean, it was the coordination involved in that is just breathtaking, where you see Zubimendi making his run, Odegaard sees that he's going to be there and where he's going to be and when he's going to be there, and then executes on that pass perfectly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's you love to see it.
I mean, it is a good run for Zubimendi, the deep midfielder, making that kind of run like that. Obviously, Odegaard, that's kind of when he's fit and firing, that's what he brings to the table. That's what he does. I thought he was excellent in both the games this week. Just a really great setup for that goal. And then, of course, knocking it around a little bit. A third time, this time it's Trossard again. Ole, ole. 3-0.
Yeah, it was one of those days. Just from range, just effortless. He always kind of looks the same when he takes his shots, and I imagine that's no accident. But just the way he's kind of bent over, just kind of twists his whole body and puts it behind the leg, and it's beautiful to watch.
And we've talked about this too. Some of his value as a guy who will just shoot. Sometimes you need that. Someone who just says, "Screw it, I'm just gonna level the ball in." And it is a little overstated about Arsenal always try to walk it in, to use the old line, which I don't think is fair or accurate in this case. But I think Trossard is a guy who, more so than some of his teammates, will pull the trigger when he thinks he has the opportunity, and it's really paid off for him it's really paid off for him in his time in Arsenal. It's a fantastic signing he's been. Did
you see the way that curved on its way in? It was beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, he's for a guy we've been trying to sell. Well, at least the fans have been trying to sell. He's been a heck of a player. He's done a heck of a job, and I'm just it does always feel like, I was thinking about this at some point this week, like the sort of the unsettled nature of our, if you were to ask, with all the lineup changes we've had, if you were to ask what is the best 11, what would be if you had to play one game to win all the trophies or whatever it is,
right,
who would the starting 11 be, assuming everyone was healthy? And then just thinking about how whoever it is, we've probably played that lineup just once, because we've been shuffling guys in and out. And you would look at, this is a tangent I'm going to bring in for a landing in a moment, I promise. But you think about that left-sided forward has kind of been the one area where we sort of had the question, like, who really is the best there? And, we've critiqued Trossard's game here and there, but I think, sometimes he's played a vital role there, sometimes in just scoring goals. And it sounds so simple. But, I mean, that's a thing that has felt labored for us at various points this season. So... good on him for scoring goals.
Yeah, no, and it was something that I noticed in yesterday's Bournemouth match, where I think it was one time for Madueke or something, but I remember someone driving the ball in through the 18-yard box, and like you would see as he passes through, like, oh, there's a direct line of a goal. Oh, it was like the third time he had a chance to take the shot that he actually took it, and it ended up getting deflected. But yeah, just that willingness to just give it a shot, like while you have the shot open. Yeah, it's special.
Yeah, I guess we should. Well, I guess we'll. Speaking of taking shots when they're open, do we want to talk about the fourth goal yet, or do we need to? Is there one other thing we need to cover with this Trossard one?
Right. So there was the lengthy VAR review afterward, which you could see why as soon as you watch the replay. Nkapie and Saka were each kind of potentially too far forward as it was taken. But I was kind of confused why it was a multi-minute long review. Aren't these supposed to be semi-automated now? I thought that was in place earlier this season. I thought I remembered seeing the graphics and seeing that they were using it.
I thought so too. Yeah, I don't know. I will say I was very glad to see they weren't drawing lines on the field again. That was,
although who knows? Maybe that was the problem. Maybe that would have helped. I don't know. It took a long time.
Yeah, I had thought. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I had seen that in there. Now, obviously, in some of these cases, they've talked about they do have to talk about, like, there's some, they say the cameras don't quite work because the positioning of players and stuff. But again, and watching this on replay, I was watching this. I should say watching the replay of the game as opposed to watching it live. I got a little bit more of the commentary. I didn't. I don't recall them saying anything about that.
No, okay. I didn't either. I mean, there was no mention of VAR. I mean, other than the fact that they were reviewing it, like, I don't think they were talking. They were updating as it happened. Like, oh, now they've cleared this. Now they've moved on to this other question, because there's multiple questions that VAR was attempting to answer. But yeah, nothing about what process they were using.
Yeah, again, I like you. I had thought that was in there, but I have other thoughts about what else could be going on here. But let's keep this in a pot. Let's keep the show positive for now. I don't know. That was weird. I I certainly think, based on the video we were looking at, and I might be a little biased on this, but I think they were both the players, Saka and Hincapie, were onside when they reviewed it. So I'm not. I think it was a good goal, and frankly, even if it wasn't a good goal, whatever, we dominated. We'll talk more about that in a second.
That wouldn't have been the deciding factor.
Yeah. And you know what? Even if that one didn't go in, we got another one anyway.
Yeah, as mentioned last week, we have all three Gabbies back, and the Gabriel Jesus, our forward Gabby, he came through with another goal. He's starting to edge up on Gyökeres's total for the season in fairly short order.
Well, I'm about to say that it's still his only goal of the season that he scored. We should
directly. I guess I'm thinking of goal contributions, but yeah,
I'm just a great transition play. It's Raya pushing the ball upfield. We get them in transition. Jesus hits it first time. Mm-hmm. Just a lovely curling shot. Again, he's a guy, I've said this a few times. I think a healthy Jesus, we might already have a title. I think he's a big loss, been a big loss the last couple of years that we don't talk enough about. But just really great, especially when we think about, we talked in the previous weeks, right, when he's coming back, about the long layoff and how it feels. They pointed this out in the broadcast, and you and I talked about this. Scores on December 30th. His last goal for Arsenal was January 1st, 2025. 2 goals in the calendar year of 2025. And about as far apart chronologically as you can have. One day off, but I'll blame the Premier League schedule makers for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. That reminds me of Jurriën Timber's first season with us, where he played the first game and the last game. It's kind of the same kind of odd thing that just seems to happen sometimes. But yeah, so beautiful goal, just pinpoint precision, placed it exactly where it needed to be. Took the one touch, settled it, and gunned it in. The weird thing was, after, it wasn't necessarily super weird that he took off his shirt and had a message about God on it. Okay. What was even weirder to me was that he wasn't given a yellow card for it. I remember the last World Cup. This was a big point that was being talked about before and during and after every World Cup matches. They're going to get yellow cards for taking their shirts off, and it's going to lead to suspensions, and they still do it anyway. I thought that was a yellow card offense.
I thought so too. Apparently wasn't. I wonder if the fact that he was wearing a shirt, I wonder if it's being shirtless is what it is.
Maybe that's the offense. Yeah.
I have to say, so this was what I saw when I actually put on the game, when I was finally able to access the game after traveling. It was I saw on my phone, so it was a little hard to see. So as he's running off, I could have sworn his shirt said, "I believe in Jesus," which obviously there's the religious message there. But my first thought upon seeing that was, that's the line from his song, "I believe in Jesus, the Arsenal number 9," which I thought was a little oddly self-referential. And then I saw the shirt that says, "I belong to Jesus."
Yeah.
Makes sense. Apparently, it was also a reference to a similar moment from another Brazilian star, the former player Kaká. Kaka with an accent on the last A, in spite of what it might look like when written, who did that in a game. I want to say he played with Real Madrid. I think he played AC Milan. I think it was with Milan, where he took off his shirt and had basically that same shirt with even the same lettering, where with the religious messaging. And I think there was a reference to that as well. In addition to, I'm sure Jesus is. That seemed weird. A sentence that sounds weird out of context. Jesus is a spiritual fellow. His religion is important to him, and I imagine that was important to him as well, as sort of in that recovery from injury, because that's hard. Think about these guys and how important it is to play, and how important that is to their identity in some cases, or at least even just their day-to-day lives. And for so long, when you can't run, you just can't play, and to lose that, and sort of have the faith as the anchor, kind of helping them through that. I can see why that's, I imagine he was waiting to do that for the last couple of games in the hopes that we'd been able to bang one in, but he got one here, and good, and it was good to see.
Yeah, definitely. So we talked before the show. There was really a big change that happened around the halftime break, right? What was it for you that really made the big difference?
I think two things. One was Villa losing Andre Onana. No, it wasn't Andre Onana. What is it? Onana. I can't remember his first name.
Yeah, Onana. I don't remember the first name.
Yeah. But losing Onana, who was definitely causing a lot of problems for us. I thought he was one of their better players, certainly in the first half when he was playing. I think that was part of it, but I think also see, now
let me say before
Onana. I looked at Amadou.
Amadou, thank you. Before we leave Onana to other factors, though, I want to say it wasn't even with him just at halftime when he came off altogether. I noticed his threat died down once he went down, like in the 27th minute with that injury. That was from that point forward that it was noticeable.
Right, and I think that he was, I think, their key player in the first half, and as he started to slow down, I think that their ability to counterattack slowed down as well. I think some of that too was Declan Rice not playing in this game. I think it left a gap in our midfield defensively, kind of a reminder of what he brings to the team. Talk a little bit more on him in just a moment, but sort of what he brings to the team, what we're missing when he's not there. I think that's really important. I think the other thing too is I don't actually think a lot of things changed. I think the biggest thing that changed was we finally got the goal. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't here last week, and I didn't get to talk about the Palace and Brighton games, where again we conceded late goals. We felt like we were dominating games and yet not coming away with the results. We've been dominating games for some time now. Maybe not the Wolves game where we, that one maybe we can point to and say we got a little lucky to get out of, at least certainly given Wolves' quality, although they did win this week.
Yeah, I heard that. Congratulations on earning 3 points for the first time this season.
Yeah, they're all the way up to 6 on the season. So it's only, is it 12 points away from safety right now? Anyway, but more importantly is just, I think over the last month, if anything, we've probably been a bit unlucky that we generally outplayed the opposition and gotten bit. We talk about how many times we talked about the one shot on goal or the first shot on goal ends up going in. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it's tied late. We're then a goal late defending. Truth is, we've been dominating these games in a lot of ways and frankly just been a little bit unlucky. I think Villa was the team where things finally started to come right, so to speak. And look, finishing is a skill, and sometimes you have a low shooting percentage because you don't have enough goal scorers. We've got too much quality on this team for the kind of domination we've been having. Eventually, it was going to come good, and I think, and I think this is the same true for the Bournemouth game as well, as we'll talk about in a little bit. I think ultimately our quality finally told in terms of results. I think 4-1 was a perfectly fair result for this game. And we made some slight tactical adjustments as well, but I don't think it wasn't as if they went into the locker room and suddenly shuffled the board and was like, whoa, what's happening? I think Arsenal sort of asserted themselves. It didn't assert themselves so much as they played a little better. The goals finally started to come, and opportunities that they've been getting the last few weeks finally started to turn into points. And you get a result that more closely resembles the flow of the game, rather than what we've been seeing for the last couple of games before that, where things were a little tighter than they probably should have been, all things considered.
Right. So that leads us into stoppage time, where we had a couple exciting moments. One that I'd forgotten about till I was looking through my notes just now was Raya had like a double or triple save that was really something. It was one of those moments where you thought that was going to be when they scored.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, great sequence there. Again, I kind of thought it was in two, but of course it came off him, and good job by Raya to get there. And there's a part of you that kind of says, "Okay, that's going to be their moment." Everyone calm down. And then 2 minutes later, they do the same thing. Came down that left hand side for them. That one slipped in. Oh gosh, I don't remember who it was who drove through, but he slips it, goes right through Raya's legs. That's one Raya's going to look at and go, "Man, that shouldn't have happened, buddy. That one shouldn't have happened." Slips through his legs, and of course, Ollie Watkins is there.
Yep. Yeah, he's a good player, that guy.
He is decent, though. I wonder how much of that is, because if you look at his overall goal scoring record, it's not actually that great. And I wonder how much of it is he always just seems to score against Arsenal. So we see him. Well, geez, the guy scores all goals all the time. I must be a great player. But yeah, it seems like he seems to save a little bit for us. But at that point, fortunately, 4-1. I don't think anybody, 4-1 already in stoppage time. It was just a matter of time before the whistle blew, and thank you very much.
Yeah.
Points.
And that was just kind of them having something to feel good about before it was all over. But yeah, it didn't really change much.
Yeah, but overall, I think there is a little bit of. I'm not going to go so far as one team is a contender, one team is a pretender. But as you look at the table, and we'll talk a little bit about this. They're talking about this as if it's a 3-team title race with City and Villa along with Arsenal. I just don't believe in Villa as a title contender. I think they're a good team. They come in, having won 11 in a row.
Right.
They then proceeded to win this weekend.
Their streak, right?
Yeah. They won again this weekend. So you're talking about 12 out of 13, which is pretty good. I don't know. Yeah. I don't do math, but 12 out of 13 seems pretty good to me. But I do think they are. I think they're overperforming a little bit. We talk about Arsenal sort of underperforming or underscoring or almost. I think Villa's overperforming a little bit, which isn't a shocking thing it is the kind of the general line on them. But I think they're also going to start to tell. They had a couple of pretty serious absences in terms of players not available this week. So I think that was hurting them in some ways. But I think also they're still in Europe. They're still in the FA Cup. So I think as the season goes along, I just don't know. Sort of like it's not a great it's not a fair comparison to either because Villa's a much better team than Forest last year was. But I feel like a little bit like Forest that the longer this goes on, and remember we're halfway through the season, there's a long way to go. Mm-hmm. I just don't see any way they can keep up with Arsenal or City on top of the league.
Well, and like what you were talking about with Ollie Watkins, it's like we only see them against Arsenal, or I at least only see them against Arsenal. And that I'm sure colors things, but in this game, they were really not a threat. Like they were playing bunker and counter. Like that was all their chances came on the counter. And that's not generally how you win a title, I'm guessing.
Leicester did it. You can do it, but you've got to turn those into results and get wins. And it's hard to do that when, especially in the last few years, obviously in the league, the league has been dominated in a lot of ways by the strength of City and even, Liverpool and their style. And again, it's tough to talk about because with Unai Emery, there's always that bit of, well, he used to be Arsenal's manager and Arsenal fans don't like him because of all of that. I mean, I think I've said this before. I think Emery is a good manager. I think he got put in a very difficult position with Arsenal, but I think it's also fair to point out he underperformed a little bit. We blew a Champions League spot in the last part of the season. He got us to the Europa League final during which Arsenal completely no-showed against Chelsea. There's enough to criticize him with, just say it didn't quite work out. He seems like a decent guy, minus not shaking Arteta's hand at the end of the game, but kind of whatever. I don't care. It just didn't work out. I hope he's going well at Villa, but I don't think, and not necessarily for him, although partly for him as well. I just don't see Villa as a title contender. I'm not worried. I don't think they're going to be there in April. I just don't think they're going to be there.
All right. So yesterday, as we record, we played Bournemouth. This was same total number of goals, allocated a little bit less in our favor when all was said and done. But this was, I don't know, it felt a little different to me. We didn't feel as sure-footed the whole time.
I think. I mean, I guess we should start with their opening goal.
Yeah.
Because as we said, goals change games. And I think that colors a lot of the game because, they scored within 10 minutes. And so all of a sudden you're down 1-0 and you always sort of feel like you're coming back from that. Yeah, I don't know what the heck happened.
That was bizarre, especially from Gabriel. And I know he's been out for a while. Maybe that's just like something's not quite clicked into place for him. Although, generally he's doing well, but just I don't know. it's hard to explain from him, especially.
I mean, I think, and I haven't actually I didn't see anything really pick up post game. I didn't really read a lot today. I think if you look at the way he hits it, like he looks like he expects someone to he hits it first time. He doesn't even really look where he's passing the ball. He's just kind of swinging it around the way they swing it around in the back. I wonder if he thought he was deeper than he was, if he thought Raya was further forward, if he thought somebody else was, maybe Zubimendi was supposed to drop back there. I'm not sure. But if you look at he's not even holding the ball. It comes to him and he just kind of swings it.
Right.
And yeah, I think that was just he just misread what was going on the field.
And he realized it immediately. Like as soon as he finished kicking the ball, he was running toward the goal, as was Raya.
Yeah, but there are some players who will shank that opportunity. Evanilson clearly wasn't one of them.
Right.
He puts it away. Raya almost gets to it. A heck of a play by Raya.
He got a lot closer than a lot of keepers probably would have.
Yeah, I mean, I say Evanilson's not going to miss from there, but honestly, like he in his head, he might be saying to himself, I need to put that a little closer to the post.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
but in terms of game state and game flow, I think a lot of the way we're approaching this is colored by the fact that 10 minutes into the game we're trailing, and so it feels like you're chasing the game, even though we dominated possession once again. We dominated opportunities, and really the mental side of the benefit, I think, comes from the fact that it took less than 10 minutes before we were level.
Yeah, exactly. That was huge and definitely redeemed my sentiment toward Gabriel on the week when he helped us draw even. Like that is nice. Like I feel like I've seen that before, where someone makes a big goof that yields a goal for the other team, and it's like they are single-mindedly determined to get a goal back for their own team to counter it, and he did.
Well, they say in baseball, and usually they talk about like guys playing out of position. The ball finds you, and sometimes the ball finds you in a good way. Mm-hmm. And I think this, and so I mean, I think the real hero in this goal, I think the one who really gets should get a lot of credit for, is Madueke. I thought he was really good yesterday. Did a lot of work on his defender. This one drives into the box, gets it across. Couple of block shots. It comes to Gabriel. That's not an easy shot. We've seen better offensive players, shank that one into the second deck. Well, it wouldn't be the second deck because there isn't a second deck in Bournemouth. But but we've seen players miss those, whiff those chances, shank them, put it over the bar. And Gabriel very calmly sticks it in, and it's 1-1 and gets it back.
Yeah, that definitely made like I said, a big difference in how I was looking at things. But it's kind of funny when we gave away that goal so early on. I didn't have the same feeling about it, and it was probably just because it was so early in the match. But I didn't have that same feeling like, oh no, like I was like, okay, that stinks, but we'll be okay. Like I was optimistic after that, and then this just kind of solidified that feeling, I
mean, consider this. Since the end of November, we lost Aston Villa, and we entered that tough stretch in December, specifically the tough stretch where, let me rephrase that. Sorry, it was the Chelsea draw was the end of November. But okay, then we lost to Villa beginning December. Since then, as we enter the festive fixtures, and we're not quite through, but we're effectively through the festive period at this point. Our next game's January 8th. That doesn't feel quite so festive to me. We've won every single game. With one exception, that of course being Crystal Palace, where we drew, but it was the cup, so who cares? We go into a shootout, we won that.
Right.
We keep racking up points. 3 points. Like, it just keeps, like... right. That sense, I wasn't... This team finds a way. They just always seem to find a way. And honestly, coming into the second half, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think we were that poor in the first half. Bournemouth, we know, has given us trouble. They beat us twice last year. This is obviously a team and Iriol is a decent manager who knows how to work against Arteta. They have given us problems. Certainly last season and in recent years, they've given a lot of teams some problems, although this year's been a bit more of a struggle for them. I don't know. I at no point in this game did I actually feel that nervous.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. But
it was the same for me. Like, it was frustrating sometimes, but I never really was nervous, even when we were down 1-0. Like I was saying, like, it didn't feel like, oh no, this is it. We've been finding those chances and converting them when we need to. So yeah.
And I would throw in there, like, we were creating opportunities. We were doing well, moving the ball around. I guess I sort of felt going in like, oh yeah, we're going to get a goal, we're going to win. And so when it finally happened, when it was, Odegaard does that lovely little layoff for Rice, and he slides it right into position, and it's 2-1.
There it is.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, what a shot. It was from a similar position as Jesus's goal earlier in the week. And just it's the precision under those circumstances to step up and just blast it. And that one was one touch. That was just amazing.
Mm-hmm. And again, shout out Martin Odegaard, just a lovely little layoff, perfectly where it needs to be. And Rice with the finish. And then, a few minutes later, he did it again.
Yeah. From the same, and this is where you can fault Bournemouth for letting him get away with it. He was basically in the same position. He was like running along the same line. He was closer to the goal, but he was doing the exact same thing, and they let him do it again.
Well, I think some of that too is, we talked about this, I think it was in the Spurs game, right? The idea that the defenders ultimately can't cover everything. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be some soft location, some spot that the defense doesn't have coverage on. And if you're able to find that spot, then and get yourself into those positions and get the ball there. Mm-hmm. I was watching, so again, we'll go cross sports. I watched a little college basketball yesterday, and they were talking about one team was running a zone defense, the 1-3-1, one player up high, 3 players across the top of the key, 1 down under the basket. And the one analyst was like, I hate this defense because the most popular shot in basketball now is the corner 3. And the 1-3-1 leaves open that spot. Yeah. And the point isn't, of course you got to still hit the shot, but the point is, like, whatever defense you're running will leave openings. There will be spaces there for the offense to work. It name the sport. That's what's going to happen. And I think in that case, if we're talking about finding that location, that seems to be where Rice found it. Mm-hmm. And, he's had 2 goals, and there was a new Declan Rice song. I understand it was Declan Rice in red and white. I like it. KC and the Sunshine Band.
I think I heard them using that song. Maybe it was something completely unrelated, a movie I saw this weekend. But cool, I like that. But yeah, he gave the cameraman a bad day after that second goal when he reached up and smooched the lens. Actually made lip impressions on it. I can picture after they cut away, the guys like getting up out of it, like they're in those little like turrets with the cameras, right? I can picture him like scrambling, getting up and like taking his lens cloth and like pulling the lens off and cleaning it to get it back in operation.
Yeah, but at that point, at that point at 3-1, it's over, right?
Well, right? You would think most of the time, but yeah, not quite. They weren't quite done.
No, we got a little soft defensively, and the ball gets the feet of Junior Kroupi, who, full credit. That was a heck of a shot. Really well-placed ball.
Yep.
Top corner.
Yeah, I was nice shot. Really weird though. So his jersey says Kroupi JR period, right? any other player, I'd assume, okay, he's a junior. But then I saw when they were using his name in on-screen graphics, like crediting him for the goal or whatever it was, it said junior, like spelled out, Junior, Kroupi. What's the deal with that? Is his first name Junior? And if so, why is it like abbreviated after his name? I'm so confused.
So again, per Professor Wikipedia, his name is Eli Junior Kroupi. Or if you prefer, and I'm going to mispronounce some of this, Eli Jr. Eric Anatole Rahinia Kroupi, who is French. So there's a lot going on there. His father, Eli Kroupi, is an Ivorian from the Ivory Coast, played professionally in France. And so he is, the junior it seems like a reference to his father, junior to his father.
I'll chalk it up to some kind of French language thing I'm not aware of. They put the names in different orders or something like that, I guess. I don't know.
Could be.
or maybe it could be a nickname too. It could be that he's just grown up being called Junior, so Junior is his like de facto first name, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be kind of more my guess, because we've seen sometimes guys make those decisions, right, about what goes back on the name and what where they kind of come up with those things. But
yeah. But yeah, no, nice shot. I mean, at that point it was close enough to the end and we were looking good. I wasn't super worried. I mean, it did make it a little more tense. We thought we were finally past the worst of it, but you got to hand it to him. That was a nice shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Raya almost, from certain angles, it looks like he was closer than from other angles, but oh man.
Yeah, I don't think he was really. I don't think there was really many keepers who could have gotten to that one. I'm not going to hold that one against him. But
no, don't hold it against him. But he just, again, to his credit, he got so close. Like he was doing the right thing, just like a fraction of a second or a fraction of a degree in another direction, and he might have actually had that.
And I know everyone got nervous and. Yeah, the old phrase is squeaky bum time, and Arsenal's going to blow it again, and all of that. How many shots did Bournemouth have in the last? There were 6 minutes of stoppage time, so we're talking the last 20 minutes of the game after the goal. How many shots have they had?
Yeah, no, I don't think any. Yeah,
they didn't have a shot. And a couple that were blocked. Credit to the defense there. Yeah, they had that deep throw late that wound up getting headed away, and then a kind of a quick whistle there at the end.
Yeah, they seemed really upset about that.
I mean, on the one hand, it is kind of quick. On the other hand, similar things sort of happened to us at the end of the first half.
It did. Yep.
Secondly, I recalled not 5 minutes earlier, Gabriel Jesus being dragged down by his leg and getting
with no whistle,
call at all.
And that was right next to the penalty box too. Like that would have been a really dangerous free kick.
The referee did not impress me yesterday. We're just gonna leave it at that. But they didn't have any shots.
Mm-hmm.
We dominated this game. We controlled this game. So, look what it took for them to score goals. An absolute, just brain-bendingly foolish moment from Gabriel and a worldie from Kroupi. That's what it took. I mean, look at some of the goals we give up. It takes, and some other teams have talked about this, the incredible effort it takes to score a goal against Arsenal, how hard you have to work. Think back, we talked about this with Bayern, right? It took like 2 ridiculous volley passes to end up scoring a goal. And yeah, you're going to have those moments where those things go in. And obviously it's important that Rice scored the pair and we're up 3-1. So when he scores a big goal like that, okay, you're holding on. But man, it's, yes, there are some things we can do. Yes, there's some areas we can play better. Yes, Arteta will be working on making sure someone is stepping out on Kroupi so he doesn't have a clean shot look at the goal. But the fact is, we dominated this game. We controlled it. Honestly, the only one that I really feel like we really sort of blew it, this season. Maybe you could argue the Villa game, where we lost at Villa Park, and arguably really just the Wolves game, where you start talking about, like, what are we doing? Why are we sitting back in a shell against Wolves and they punished us with the equalizer? Otherwise, it's just been some fantastic plays that have been a little unlucky on our end to get in. Again, we haven't lost the game since that absolute last second goal against Villa.
Yeah.
Everyone calm down.
Let me rewind you for a second.
Okay.
And sorry if this is something that should be more obvious, but Squeaky Bum Time?
Oh, we not talked about that on this show?
I don't know. That doesn't sound familiar.
I've heard. I'm not gonna get the history on this right. I'm sure someone will correct us in the comments. I believe it's been attributed to Sir Alex Ferguson.
Okay.
But sort of the idea of the end of a game, especially a close game, where let's just say things get a little tight, if you understand what I mean.
Okay.
This is a PG-rated show, so
I
can't
okay.
keep.
Okay. Retention, a little bit of retention going on.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I see where that's coming from now. Okay. Who is your player of the week?
So, this isn't best player of the week. It's a big player of the week. So sometimes and we've talked about this, right? Sometimes we go for the story rather than necessarily the best performance, especially when there's 2 games a week. For me, the player of the week, I'm going to argue it's Declan Rice. And I say that for 2 reasons. One, of course, is the performance against Bournemouth. He was excellent against Bournemouth. He scored 2 goals, has another song, like just, great stuff all around.
Right.
But I think also he was also very in the Villa game. He's conspicuous by his absence. We talked a little bit about that, right? The ability of Villa to generate the opportunities they did, especially in the first half, especially with Onana, was driving through the midfield in transition. If Declan Rice is playing, that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like he plays a vital role for this team in the way we play. If he's not there, I think that game is even I don't think that game is even remotely close. The way the rest of the team was playing overall, and I think so. For me, the player of the week, Rice, not just for his performance against Bournemouth, but conspicuous in his absence when it came to the Villa game, which is a weird thing to say. A game we won 4-1.
Right.
But also, I think to me, as I'm watching, I think it was we talk about certain players and how important they are. I think he is definitely on. He might be the best player on this team.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of times I don't want to pick him because it just feels like that's the easy choice. Like you could do it almost every week. And it's kind of like I'm now wearing a Saka shirt. Like this is like the last of the big players from when I first started watching that I finally bought the shirt of. It just felt like that was the obvious one to buy. I didn't want to buy the obvious shirt. It's the same kind of thing. Like I avoid it. But yeah, definitely deserved this week. And that is saying a lot since he didn't play the first game of the 2, but yeah, definitely don't argue with you there. It's talking about bending the rules. You missed last week when I actually picked the keepers collectively as my player of the week for Aretha Balaga and Raya.
We've done that. Yeah, we've done that before.
But anyway, so for me this week, I'm gonna still kind of in the same spirit of kind of not really the best player of the week, but the player who I would like to talk about a little bit, highlighting this week. It's got to be Gabriel. Right? He comes back from a long injury spell. He's out for a long time. And what is the first thing he do? Scores from a set piece. That's what we want him to do. That's what we were missing so desperately over the past couple months while he was out. That alone would have been something to get me to want to talk about him. But then of course we have the Bournemouth match. And I really thought that I was that's what I'd been thinking after that happened in the Villa match. It's like, okay, he's going to end up being my player of the week this week. Right. And then he gives the ball to Evanilson in the beginning of Bournemouth. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to do that. There's no way I could give it to him, except that 6 minutes later, he does turn around and makes a beautiful strike and redeems himself in every possible way. So yeah, I am picking Gabriel. Welcome back, Gabby. It's good to have you. All 3 Gabbies are healthy again, and it's great.
He certainly, I guess he certainly qualifies as the main character of the week. Right. I do think beyond the goals, I think he does give us so much defensively. I don't think it's an accident that Villa had those 2 late chances after he was substituted off. I do think he played a key part in sort of limiting Bournemouth's opportunities, minus the opportunity he created. But other than that, I thought he did a pretty good job helping limit their opportunities. I mean, they aren't as flashy as goals, of course, but he is so important defensively. But we should also throw in, I feel like we're talking about more of our players as more of the interesting stories of the week. We also did talk about we're actually both agreeing who was the best player across both games this week. And it's Martin Odegaard, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, no, he's been awesome. He's been incredible. He's been behind by a degree or two almost every goal that we've had, where it's just making it happen like he does. It's been great. We had a little bit of a signal interruption before, and what I was starting to say with Gabriel was to me, it is amazing that he is a world-class center back, one of the best in the world, unquestionably, and especially paired with Saliba. And yet I still predominantly think of him as a goal scorer for us, because that's been such a huge part of his game. And that's amazing. that in itself is really remarkable.
And he's a guy, interesting. He's definitely the more unheralded of the two center backs. I mean, Saliba was a big deal the moment we purchased him, and the saga of his loans and when's he going to be playing, when's he going to be ready. And obviously he's an excellent player. We haven't really talked about him a lot this season. He's kind of just quietly done William Saliba things. But yeah, I mean, Gabriel was acquired at a much lower price, kind of much less heralded as a transfer. And I think I can't say irreplaceable in the way that I think Rice and Odegaard, who do things that I don't know that we have anyone else who can do, but we've seen how much better we are. I think Gabriel has a lot more sort of the heart and soul of the team. You can see how excited he gets, how competitive he is, how much his teammates feed off that kind of thing. And you need that. He doesn't have to. You don't have to wear the captain's armband to be that kind of leader. And I think Gabriel is that kind of leader.
Oh, true. But so anyway, so I digressed this a little bit from talking about Odegaard for a bit. So what else did you have to say about Odegaard's week?
Just that he's starting to find form. I think he's kind of he's been battling. We talked about last year battling the injuries, and he had the kid and probably wasn't sleeping, and now he's battled more injuries this year. I think we're starting to see Martin Odegaard, that guy, the guy the Arsenal captain. I think he's definitely hitting a vein of form right now, and it's been a big part of the success. Some of the success we've been having. And long may it continue, at least for another, 5 months. 5-6 months.
We're top of the table. We are now 6 points clear of City and Villa. Oh boy, does that feel good.
Yeah, because City drew to managerless Chelsea today. This is fantastic. Look, Manchester City's a good team. If there's going to be a team that chases us the length of the campaign, it's going to be them. It's not going to be Villa. Liverpool, by the way, also drew today against Fulham. Apparently, a stoppage time equalizer from Fulham. Liverpool is currently. Hold on, I have to do math in my head. This is going to hurt a bit, but Liverpool is currently in fourth. They are 14 points behind us.
Yes.
Liverpool ain't winning, and Liverpool's not winning the title this year.
No.
I honestly, as I look at this, there's only two teams that could win the title this year. It's Arsenal and City. As I said, I don't believe in Villa as a title contender. Sorry. I don't think they're going to be there in April when this is all decided. The halfway point is kind of a good moment for us to sort of sit back and take stock of where we are. We are currently, we've played 20 games, 48 points. At this time last year, through 20 games, we were on 40 points.
Wow.
And so we are. What would you say we were? We are now 6 points ahead, 6 points clear of City in first. At the time, we were 6 points behind Liverpool this time last year.
Ooh, what a swing! Wow.
And Liverpool had a game in hand.
Right.
So I mean, and at this point, everyone's kind of talking about Liverpool. Kind of, we didn't quite say they had wrapped up the title by this point, but they were obviously the favorites. I think we are too. I think it's fair to say, but
comparing to 2 seasons ago, where again we did end up finishing in second again. I mean, we had 40 points and we were 5 behind Liverpool, who were at the top at that point. And that season, Manchester City, who was even with us on points at that point, did pull ahead and ended up winning. But it's a lot of reason to feel good about where we are right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd much rather be in first place than not. And again, I say this about City. Could they ultimately chase us down? Perhaps. They're certainly talented. They've got a ton of great players. They're going to get They're almost certainly going to get Antoine Semenyo from Bournemouth. That's probably going to happen. Now that he's played against Arsenal, they'll probably now finish the deal. and bring him over to Manchester. But I mean, I know everyone's afraid of City as the kind of team that's just going to go and drop points in one game the back half of the season. I don't think this team's that good. I don't think they're that good. They're going to be great. They're going to rack up a ton of points, and they're going to be breathing down our necks. I don't think they're that. This isn't that team. This team isn't that good yet.
Right.
So Arsenal is in the driver's seat, and this isn't like we've seen the last couple of years. This is. I mean, again, you talk about this tough stretch. How many times the last couple of years have we seen them drop points in this December, January, this holiday stretch? And it wasn't even, and it was, a loss and a draw. It wasn't a terrible stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we won every single game.
What was the phrase they used on the broadcast yesterday? I think it was the 12 points of Christmas.
I did pick up on that. Yeah, it was good. Funny. I mean, we won every single game. The only one we didn't win was the League Cup.
Yeah.
And it was a draw, which we ended up winning on penalties anyway.
Yeah.
We're alive. We're alive in 4 competitions.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned that before. It's kind of a joke. This team is not joking. This team is not joking about anything this year.
All right. What is coming up for the next week?
Well, we were just talking about Liverpool. Liverpool's coming to town. We'll see Liverpool on Thursday, late in the week. They will be making their trip. We lost. That was one of our 2 losses. Was away to Liverpool. A cagey, relatively uneventful affair up at Anfield with Dominic Szoboszlai with the. That's good credit where it's due. Fantastic free kick. Ultimately won it for them. The wheels kind of fell off for a while there. They haven't. I wouldn't say they've righted the ship. They're in better shape as of late. Missing Mo Salah, who's with Egypt at the Cup of Nations, although, frankly, from Liverpool's perspective, that might not be a bad thing for them either that he's not there. I think this is a good opportunity for us to maybe, sort of like the Villa game, kind of assert ourselves. I think this is a really good opportunity. I think we're better than Liverpool. I mean, and I know, big controversial statement. Team 14 points behind us isn't as good. I think we're better than Liverpool. I think this is an opportunity to really kind of, I don't want to say put the screws to them because I think that's already been done, but I think to sort of just remind everyone this season, it's not their year.
Especially at home.
Yeah, right. Because it's at home, I feel pretty good about that. I know the crowd was a little nervous in the Villa game, and the sense was we weren't really quite in full throat until we started to pump the goals in. I think if they could be up and ready for this one, I'm thinking the way they were up and ready to go with when Bayern was there, which is Liverpool. I think they could be. I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about this one.
Yeah, and so then later on in the week, we return to the FA Cup, right?
Yes, we have an FA Cup tie. Old school, former Premier League matchup for longtime fans like me. We're making the trip to Fratton Park to play Portsmouth. Portsmouth currently are in the Championship. They are, if I'm reading this right, 21st in the table. So it's not been a great run for them. They are 21st in the table, so not great. But again, it's an away tie in the Champions League. I expect to see a fair amount of rotation. I imagine Kepa will be in the
FA Cup, not Champions League.
Yes, I said FA. Oh, I'm sorry. What's from the Champions League? Wow, what a world. Yeah, it's a cup tie. I expect to see a good amount of rotation, especially in the form of Kepa in goal. I imagine you'll see a few other things. I'd be interested to see one player we haven't really seen a lot of in the last few weeks has been Eze. And I wonder if this might be a chance. He's definitely in the doghouse. I think it's been clear from his lack of playing time. But I think it'll be curious to see how they approach that one, especially with Liverpool there. And then real quick, just to make sure I get a full view of the calendar. Yeah, and then we have Chelsea in the League Cup midweek. So I wonder if you'll actually see Kepa twice if they rotate the keepers in that one. So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, we're basically at 2 games a week from now until the second week of February.
Oh boy. Okay.
Which, I mean, is continuing that. Like, that's another...
Yeah.
I'm just looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of 2 a week. So this is a busy point to the season, but we're almost certainly going to finish in the top 8 in the Champions League. So I'm not worried about a first round knockout stage game. We'll see about the FA Cup, how that plays out. Again, I feel pretty good about where we've got the depth. We can rotate. Guys are starting to come back healthy. 2026 could be a very good year, Arsenal fans. We got a long way to go. 5 months.
Right.
It's going to be a long 5 months, but savor it. Enjoy it. It's going to be fun.
And I don't remember if you mentioned, but for Liverpool, that's going to be, as with all the Premier League matches, somewhere in the NBC Sports world. I don't think we know exactly where that one's going to be televised yet, on Thursday evening. And then Portsmouth is going to be on ESPN2, apparently. I don't know what that means for streaming. Do you know if it'll be in the ESPN app?
Yes, so I'll deal with these separately. So we had this conversation recently. So NBC Sports Network was a network that existed for a while. It was kind of their cable version of their cable sports channel. And then they got rid of it. And apparently early in like September, they brought it back. So NBC Sports is a television network. I don't quite know
NBCSN. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So apparently that's going to be that's going to have the Liverpool game. Presumably will also be in the broader NBC Sports universe online. Peacock the next day.
That usually means NBC Sports app for same day streaming. Yep.
Yes. Although with Peacock, it depends on the package you have. I think you can stream stuff live on NBC.
NBC. I think NBC. Yes, NBC is always live, but NBC Sports Network and USA is definitely not streamed on Peacock until the next day, or replayed on Peacock until the next day. So
I'm going to watch this one live anyway. So I don't really. But anyway, So yes, but is I believe an actual television network. Yes. ESPN has the rights to the FA Cup, so we get a game on ESPN. We will be down at Portsmouth, and as what I was looking at, World Soccer Talk says we will be on ESPN2.
The Deuce.
On the Deuce. That's for you 90s kids. So apparently we'll be on, cable, but certainly over the air television. But ESPN simulcast. Well, I shouldn't say that. If you have a cable package or YouTube TV or one of those, you can also stream the television stuff live through the ESPN app. If you don't have that, you have to buy it separately.
Sort of. The ESPN has changed up all their streaming bundles now. Like, there is an all-in package where you can basically have access to all ESPN stuff through the ESPN app now, even without a cable package. But it's a lot. I think for just like ESPN Plus, I think hopefully you'll be able to stream it the next day. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But we'll see. So
I'll be curious to see if we do the whole the all white jerseys again for the FA Cup. Portsmouth wears blue, red. So it would be. Oh, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, interesting. I hate when they do that.
I don't hate the idea behind it. I hate that we keep losing in them. That's really what bothers me.
It's not even that. I just hate that you can't read anything on the jerseys the entire telecast. You can't see who the players are except by very, very tiny indications of skin tone and hairstyle and stuff like that. It's and I guess where they're on the field, but with Arsenal, and they can be anywhere a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us at Gooner U. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can also listen to the podcast version of our show on Apple, Spotify, and some other places. If you're only listening, try watching us on YouTube with a link in the show notes. Your homework for today is to tell another Gooner in your life about the show. Maybe they'd like our shorts. Maybe they'd like the full-length episode like this one. You'll know best, but they'll thank you for it, and so will we. We record the show using Zencaster. If you'd like to try it out, you can support Gooner U by signing up using the link in the description, which also has links to everything we talked about and our socials. Again, my name is Dove, and you can find me on Twitter at Dove Frankel. With me, as always, is Keith, and you can find him in a pub watching Arsenal matches.
Death, blood, rice, and red and white. I like it.